My parents finally defended me after I'd already lost everything they should have protected. My mother stood in my apartment crying, saying, "We believe you now, and we're so sorry we didn't protect you." And I looked at her and said, "Where were you 5 years ago when I actually needed you to believe me?" I'm 31 years old, and my parents just apologized for something they should have defended me against when I was 26. They finally stood up for me, finally believed me, finally saw the truth. After I'd already lost my job, my reputation, my mental health, and 5 years of my life rebuilding from damage they could have prevented. Let me take you back to the beginning because this story starts long before the incident that finally made them see. I'm the middle child of three. Older sister Victoria, me, and younger brother Sean. Classic middle child, overlooked, peacekeeper, the one who never caused problems because I learned early that problems meant being ignored or blamed. Victoria was the golden child. Straight-A student, student council president, full scholarship to an Ivy, now a doctor. My parents' pride and joy. Their proof that they were good parents. Sean was the troubled one. ADHD, behavioral issues, constantly in trouble at school. My parents spent most of their energy managing his crises, finding him therapists, making excuses for him. And me? I was the easy one. Good grades, no drama, self-sufficient. I took care of myself because no one else was paying attention. I learned early not to make waves. When Victoria would blame me for things she'd done, I'd take it rather than cause conflict. When Sean would break my things and claim I broke them, I'd stay quiet because my parents were already stressed dealing with him. "Why can't you be more understanding?" my mom would say when I'd try to defend myself. Victoria's under so much pressure. Sean can't help how he is. But I could help how I was, apparently. I could control my reactions. I could be the bigger person. I could sacrifice to keep the peace. This pattern followed me into adulthood. When I was 23, I got engaged to a guy named Andrew. He seemed perfect, charming, successful, good on paper. My parents loved him. Victoria loved him. Everyone loved him. Except I was starting to see things that bothered me. The way he'd criticize my clothes, my job, my friends. How he'd joke that I was lucky he put up with me. How he'd control what we did, where we went, who we saw. I tried to talk to my parents about it once. Andrew said my job isn't impressive enough. He wants me to quit and do something more prestigious. Well, nonprofit work isn't exactly high earning, my dad said. Maybe he has a point. He doesn't want me to see my friends anymore. Says they're a bad influence. Are they? My mom asked. Some of your friends are pretty immature. He keeps track of everything I spend. Makes me justify every purchase. That's called being financially responsible. You could learn from him. They didn't see it. Or they didn't want to see it. I broke off the engagement when I was 24. It was hard. Andrew didn't take it well, made scenes, sent me hundreds of texts. But I got out. My parents were disappointed. "You're making a mistake," my mom said. "He was perfect for you," Victoria added. "You're going to regret this." "Maybe you sabotage good things because you're afraid of commitment," my dad suggested. I stopped trying to explain. At 26, I got my dream job. Director of programs at a well-respected nonprofit focused on youth education. Good salary, meaningful work, leadership role. I was proud. There was another candidate for the job, a guy named Jordan. He didn't get it. I did. Jordan did not handle this well. He started a campaign against me before I even started. Posted on social media that I'd only gotten the job because of diversity hires. I'm a woman in a field dominated by men. Told people I'd slept with a hiring committee. Spread rumors that I'd plagiarized my application materials. None of it was true. But rumors don't need truth to spread. When I started the job, things got worse. Jordan knew people at the organization. He'd interned there years before. He still had friends on staff. Suddenly, people were cold to me. Whispers in hallways. People going silent when I entered rooms. Someone started an anonymous blog calling me a fraud. Posting evidence that I was unqualified, taken out of context, twisted, but convincing if you didn't know the full story. My work was being undermined. Ideas I proposed would be credited to other people. Programs I developed would mysteriously stall in approval. I'd find my office supplies missing, my files disorganized, my computer tampered with. I went to HR. They said they'd look into it, but nothing changed. I went to my boss. She said I was being paranoid and needed to develop thicker skin. The anonymous blog got more vicious. It started posting things about my personal life, my breakup with Andrew, my family dynamics, private things that Jordan shouldn't have known, but somehow did. I was having panic attacks before work, crying in my car during lunch, barely sleeping. I tried to talk to my parents. Work is really hard right now. Someone's been sabotaging me. Are you sure you're not just struggling with a responsibility? My mom interrupted. This is a big job for someone your age. No, it's not that. There's this guy, Jordan, who wanted my job, and he's been spreading lies. Maybe you should focus on proving yourself instead of making excuses, my dad said. I'm not making excuses. Someone is actively trying to destroy my career. You're being dramatic, Victoria said. We were at a family dinner, and she'd been listening. I've had competitive coworkers too. You just have to rise above it. This isn't competition. This is harassment. Have you considered that maybe you're not handling the pressure well? My mom asked. You've always been sensitive. I stopped talking about it. Things escalated. The anonymous blog posted an accusation that I'd misused nonprofit funds, taking donations for personal use. It was completely false, but it was specific enough to be believable. The board called for an investigation. I was put on administrative leave while they reviewed the finances. I had panic attacks daily. Couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. My hair started falling out from stress. The investigation took 3 months. 3 months of my life in limbo. 3 months of people assuming I was guilty. 3 months of my parents saying things like, "These things have a way of working out. Maybe this is a sign you should pursue something else. You've always been disorganized with money. Maybe you did make a mistake." They didn't defend me. They didn't believe me. They questioned whether maybe I had done something wrong. The investigation finally concluded. I was completely innocent. No funds had been misused. Every dollar was accounted for. The accusations were baseless. But the damage was done. My reputation was destroyed. People had spent 3 months believing I was a thief. Even with the exoneration, there were whispers. Where there's smoke, there's fire. She must have done something. They just couldn't prove it. I was technically cleared to return to work, but the environment was toxic. My boss suggested I resign for my own well-being. I was exhausted. Broken. I resigned. Jordan got hired 2 months later for a newly created position. He'd won. I spent 6 months unemployed. Too depressed to job hunt. Too anxious to even leave my apartment most days. My parents' response? Maybe this is a blessing in disguise. You can reassess what you really want to do. Have you thought about grad school? You just need to get back out there. They didn't ask how I was. They didn't acknowledge what had been done to me. They treated my resignation like a career pivot, not the culmination of a year-long harassment campaign. I finally got back on my feet, got therapy, got medication for anxiety and depression, got a new job at a smaller nonprofit, lower-level position, lower pay, but stable. I rebuilt slowly, started sleeping again, started eating, started feeling like a person. But I was different, harder, more guarded, and I was distant from my family. I'd learned they wouldn't defend me, wouldn't believe me, wouldn't protect me. So I protected myself by not needing them. I saw them less, called less, kept conversations surface level. You've been so distant lately, my mom would say. Just busy with work. Is everything okay? Everything's fine. It wasn't fine. But I'd learned that telling them when things weren't fine just meant being dismissed. 3 weeks ago, everything changed. I got a call from Victoria. You need to see this, she said. Her voice was shaking. See what? Check your email. I'm forwarding you something. It was a news article. Jordan had been arrested. Arrested for stalking, harassment, and cybercrime. Targeting multiple women at multiple organizations over a period of years. One of his victims had finally pressed charges. During the investigation, police had seized his computers. Found evidence of his campaigns against 5 different women, including me. They found the blog. All the posts saved on his hard drive, with notes about strategy, about what would be most damaging, about how to time the accusations for maximum impact. They found evidence he'd hacked my work email and personal accounts. They found messages where he'd convinced my coworker to sabotage my work. They found everything. My parents called within an hour of the news breaking. We just saw, my mom said. She was crying. Oh, sweetheart, we had no idea. You did have an idea. I told you. For months, I told you. We didn't know it was this bad. Because you didn't believe me. Silence. We believe you now, my dad said.
Now.
5 years later. After the evidence is undeniable.
You believe me now.
We're so sorry. Where were you when I needed you to believe me? When I was having panic attacks.
When I lost my job.
When my career was destroyed. We didn't understand. You didn't try to understand. I told you what was happening. You told me I was being dramatic. Being sensitive. Making excuses. We were wrong, my mom sobbed. We were so wrong. We should have supported you.
Yes.
You should have. They wanted to come see me. To talk in person. To make it right. I said no. They came anyway. Showed up at my apartment 2 days later. I let them in because it seemed cruel not to, even though part of me wanted to slam the door in their faces. We sat in my living room. This small, modest apartment that I'd moved to after losing my real career, the one I'd worked so hard for. We're sorry, my mom started. We're so sorry. We failed you.
Yes.
You did. We should have believed you. You should have defended me, even without proof. Even when it was just my word. I'm your daughter. You should have been on my side. We thought we were helping, my dad said. We thought if we encouraged you to be strong, to not play victim. I wasn't playing victim. I was a victim. There's a difference. We know that now. You should have known it then. I told you someone was destroying my career. I told you I was being harassed. I told you I was falling apart. And you told me to develop thicker skin. My mom was crying harder now. We've spent the last few days reading everything. All the articles about Jordan. All the evidence. What he did to you was horrific. I know. I lived it. The blog posts, the hacking, the conspiracy with your coworker. I told you about all of that. At the time. And you didn't believe me. We didn't realize. You didn't listen. There's a difference. Silence. Heavy, painful silence. We want to make this right, my dad finally said. You can't. You can't give me back 5 years. You can't give me back my career. You can't undo the panic attacks and the depression and the trauma. We can be here for you now.
Now?
Now you want to be here for me. We know we're late. You're not late. You're 5 years too late. You're a lost career too late. You're a destroyed reputation too late. You're a mental breakdown too late. Please, my mom begged. Please let us support you now. Let us help you. Help me with what?
I've already rebuilt.
I already did the work. I already survived. Without you. We're your parents. You're the people who were supposed to be my parents. But when I needed parents, you weren't there. More silence. What do we do? My dad asked quietly. How do we fix this? You don't. You accept that you failed me. That you chose not to believe me when I needed you most. That you prioritized your own comfort over my well-being. That's not fair. It's completely fair. I was drowning and you told me to swim harder. I was being attacked and you told me I was being dramatic. I was begging for help and you told me to stop making excuses. Victoria called later that day. Mom said you won't forgive them. They don't deserve forgiveness yet. They're devastated. I was devastated 5 years ago.
Where were you then?
I didn't know. I told you to. I told all of you. None of you believed me. We thought you were exaggerating. Based on what? Based on me being the sensitive one? The dramatic one? Based on your assumption that I must be the problem? She was quiet. You know what the worst part is? I continued. It's not even that you didn't believe me then. It's that you only believe me now because there's proof. Because Jordan got arrested. Because there's evidence that can't be denied. What's wrong with believing evidence? You should have believed me, your sister, your daughter. Without needing a police investigation to confirm my word is worth something. Over the next 2 weeks, my family tried repeatedly to reconcile.
Calls.
Texts, emails, showing up at my apartment. They wanted to be there for me now. Wanted to support me through this. Wanted to make up for lost time. But here's the thing, I didn't need them anymore. I needed them 5 years ago, when I was having panic attacks in my car, when I was losing my job, when my reputation was being destroyed. I needed them to believe me, defend me, stand with me. They didn't. So I learned to stand alone. And now that I'm standing on my own 2 feet, now that I've rebuilt my life without them, they want back in. But it doesn't work that way. Last week, I sent them all an email. My parents, Victoria, even Sean, who'd stayed mostly silent through all of this. The email said, "I've thought a lot about your apologies. I accept that you're sorry. I believe you regret how you handled things 5 years ago. I understand you were wrong, and I appreciate that you've acknowledged that. But acceptance of an apology doesn't mean everything goes back to normal. For 5 years, I dealt with trauma that you dismissed. I rebuilt a life that you watched crumble without helping to catch the pieces. I learned that I couldn't count on my family to believe me, defend me, or support me when I needed it most. That lesson doesn't disappear because Jordan got arrested. So here's what's going to change. Our relationship will be distant. Polite, but distant. I'll come to major holidays if I feel up to it. I'll respond to texts when I have the energy. But I won't pretend we're close. Because we're not. I won't share my life with you anymore. Not my struggles, not my achievements, not my daily experiences. You lost the privilege of knowing me when you chose not to believe me. I won't ask you for help. Ever. I learned I can't rely on you. That lesson is permanent. And I won't pretend this is okay. That we're one big happy family who just had a misunderstanding. You failed me fundamentally. That's the truth. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it to make you feel better. I'm not cutting you off completely. But I'm not letting you back in either. This is the relationship you earned through your actions or your inactions. I hope someday I can forgive fully. Maybe even trust you again. But that day isn't today. And it might not come for years. If ever. You're welcome to stay in my life on these terms. Or not. That's your choice. But these are my terms. Non-negotiable. Love, but from a distance. Me. My mom called immediately.
Crying.
Begging me to reconsider. This is too harsh. It's honest. We're trying. You should have tried 5 years ago. When will you forgive us? When I'm ready. If I'm ever ready. That's not up to you. My dad sent a long text about how family forgives each other. How I was punishing them. How I needed to move on. I responded. You moved on 5 years ago. You moved on from supporting me, from believing me, from being my parents in any meaningful way. I'm just catching up. Victoria tried a different approach. Think about what you're doing to mom and dad. They're heartbroken. I was heartbroken 5 years ago. They'll survive. I did. You're being cruel. I'm being boundaried. There's a difference. Sean, surprisingly, was the only one who got it. He called and said simply, I understand. They fucked up. You're allowed to protect yourself. Thank you. For what it's worth, I'm sorry I didn't say anything at the time. I was dealing with my own shit, but that's not an excuse. I appreciate that. If you ever want to grab coffee, just the two of us, I'm here. No pressure. Maybe someday. It's been 3 weeks since I sent that email. My parents are respecting my boundaries, mostly. They text occasionally. Surface-level stuff. I respond politely, but briefly. Victoria texts more often, still trying to mediate. I mostly ignore her. Sean checked in once. Casual, no pressure. I appreciated it. And me? I'm okay. Not great. Not healed. But okay. I have a therapist who's helping me process everything. The original trauma from Jordan. The secondary trauma from my family's response. I have friends who believed me from the beginning. who supported me through the worst of it. I have a life that I built without my parents' help. A life that's mine. And I have boundaries. Strong ones. Healthy ones. My parents finally defended me. Finally believed me. Finally saw the truth. But they only saw it when someone else provided proof. When a court case and a news article made it impossible to deny. They didn't believe me. They believed evidence. And that difference matters. Because if Jordan hadn't gotten arrested, if his other victims hadn't come forward, if the police hadn't seized his computers, my parents would still think I was being dramatic. They would still think I exaggerated, that I couldn't handle pressure, that I was too sensitive. Their belief in me is conditional, based on external validation, not on trust in their own daughter. And I can't build a relationship on that. So yes, I accepted their apology. But I didn't give them their daughter back. They lost that 5 years ago when they chose not to fight for me. I'm not angry anymore. Not actively. Anger takes too much energy, and I don't have energy to spare. I'm just done. Done hoping they'll be the parents I needed. Done trying to make them understand. Done pretending we're okay when we're not. They defended me after it was too late. And now it's too late for us to go back to what we were. Maybe someday we'll build something new. Something based on who we actually are to each other now, not who we were supposed to be. But that's a someday problem. Today, I'm protecting what I rebuilt. And that means keeping at arm's length the people who watched it burn the first time. My parents finally believe me, but I no longer believe in them. And that's a consequence they'll have to live with. Just like I've had to live with the consequences of their disbelief. Fair is fair, even when it hurts.